Oh, yeah.
So they
now
PCP the clam chowder for a day
now
off.
I have this PCP. I know that
Where they get a pound of PCP?
I can't wait till trans women supplant all real women in sports, because then it's going to be like awesome.
Yeah. That's how the film actually went.
Somebody's out there throwing some chicken bones on the ground.
That's what they did in Exorcist Believer, I'm pretty sure.
Welcome back to the Wacky Wonderful Wiseworks podcast, all you guys, gals, geeks, and goofballs. We are back at it again.
Oh, yeah.
One more time. One more game.
One more game.
You know, I did want to mention something we didn't mention last week.
Bit me.
Our new graphic.
Yeah, we breezed by it. Look, it's a little
breezing.
So we're updating to at least this is look
Updated for a modern audience.
shut that's a great teaser, dude. But I'm gonna be honest, that actually lends itself well to a tease. So let me tease real quick what this episode has in store for you, and then we'll get back on the graphic real quick. So we're going to be hitting all kinds of really cool stuff. First and foremost, well, not first and foremost necessarily, we're going to be talking about crazy mysteries associated with films. All right.
Okay.
We're going to be looking at, to reference the modern audience, I'm really curious. We hear this all the time, but I'm wanting to dive into this idea, this problem, you might say, if you will, of catering to a modern audience. And we're going to explore that a good bit. But then we're also going to be playing the most bizarre inspirations for movies or movie aspects, right? Or things that are in movies. So that's a little bit of a game. All right. So you guys are going to have to turn on your thinker caps there. And I got some really good ones. I'm going to test Wyatt on his Princess Bride knowledge a little bit again this week.
Okay. Because he's such a big head last week. And he was like, no, actually. Was that on the podcast or at
Yeah. It was last week during your
Josh, who can't get a quote right, who never remembers anyone's name.
No, well, I thought he said that. Did he say it on the podcast or before we recorded or something?
I don't know, but check this out.
It was on the podcast.
Okay. All right, but we're also going to be testing Joshua on his Adam Sandler movie knowledge. All right.
Okay.
Specifically 50 First Dates. All right. Because Joshua's a big fan of Adam Sandler. I think he likes Drew Barrymore a little bit. If she was 20 years younger.
Nah.
So those are some good teasers, but
wait, what? That's a little wait. That's way too young.
Sorry.
Back to the graphic.
Yeah.
So just for an explanation, going from the old graphic to the new graphic, obviously we kept a lot of the elements the same.
That was the goal, right?
But the goal with the new graphic was versatility, right?
Yes.
It's the ability to make it more present in all sorts of stuff. So, you know, it's a simple graphic. It's easier
brandable
to put on. Yeah, it's easier to put on a hat or a shirt or a sticker. And we did that for you guys.
Yes, that's right. And I'll tell you what, part of this was contracted out.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
We didn't create this. I mean, well, not all of it.
Obviously, knowing when to play to your strengths and also play to other people's strengths is important.
It's very important.
But yeah, no, we wanted our logo to be accessible.
Accessible.
What are those words in the background saying?
I don't know. I tried to find somewhat illegible.
Good.
Just cursive handwriting.
Yeah.
To kind of motivate the book journalistic kind of thing we're going with. I just needed a texturized background, and I looked for like printed words. I'm like, well, you can read these. People are going to be reading to try to figure out what it is. And I wanted it to be simple. So, it's whatever. Hopefully it's not, handwriting descriptive of like a 50 Shades of Grey kind of thing.
Right.
But it is what it is. But yeah, so we have a new graphic here to stay. Hope everyone loves it as much as we do. And I think it's miles ahead of our old one, in my opinion.
Streets ahead, if you will.
Streets and miles. Like we're talking about you saying miles, you're saying streets. So we talking about like blocks here? We talking
I was making
one block
here.
Or
I was quoting a TV show, but that's okay.
All right. I wanted to bring this up. Well, first, I'll talk about Joshua's thing later, because you had a movie recommendation, but I want to get to that later, okay? I wanted to bring this up first. Did you guys hear about Amazon investing in faith-based films? Did you guys hear about this news?
No. I heard about this.
All right, so this is pretty wild. So Amazon makes big play for faith-based content. So apparently there's like an initiative, or I don't know if it's considered a studio, but the Wonder Project is what it is, right? Oops, I just highlighted everything. And they wanted to do a series called House of David, which, focuses on Saul a little bit. I think it's a live action. I could be. I didn't dig too deep into this because of my other segments I was prioritizing, but I just saw this and came across it. It's interesting that Amazon is trying to dive into the faith-based thing. And I think it lends itself well to the idea, the question for Dallas Jenkins in particular, because he is really the spearheading the faith-based popularity content, right? Mm-hmm. So Dallas Jenkins has been up and down and never really quite took off until The Chosen as a creator, writer, director. Yeah. Now that The Chosen is in its height and he's got a name because of The Chosen, do you think that when The Chosen is finished, he's talked about wanting to continue? There's a lot of Bible that you could do series on.
Oh, you could do a lot.
He's talked about interest around doing a lot of that stuff. So something like House of David is interesting, but he's not a part of that project. But in that same realm of what you see from The Chosen, do you think he's going to be, now that he's in himself a celebrity, a famous director, is he going to stick with Angel Studios and do shows that have to be self-funded, or he's like, I want something that's a little less stressful season to season? You know what I mean?
I have an answer, but not really an answer, kind of.
Because he could go and be a director for a faith series that Amazon funds. You know what I mean?
This is not a full thing after The Chosen, but right now, on top of The Chosen, 3 weeks ago, he released a video on his Instagram and YouTube channel saying, hey, we're still doing The Chosen, everything, but for years now, I've had this one story that has been dear to my family's heart. It's called The Best Ever, or The Worst Christmas Pageant Ever. Have you seen this video?
I actually might have saw the start of the video, but then I scrolled past it, or I had to turn it off because I wasn't.
It's a video of him and his wife standing, just doing like a Instagram shorts,
right
video. But they right now, actually this week, they should be wrapping up the filming for this movie. It was bought by, I think, Lionsgate, the story for it, because it's a Christmas Carol book that their family has read for years, and it's not Christian. It's just like a Christmas pageant that some kids put on, and Lionsgate bought the script for it, and he's filming that right now on top of the fourth season of The Chosen coming out. So
I will say, it as The Chosen season 4 is in post-production, and there's like a lot of stuff with the theaters, it's kind of a little automated, and a less has to be micromanaged, I guess. He's not on set. He has the freedom to get on set for another project, because post-production is a lot of times he gives his thoughts.
Yeah. So,
but at this point, 4 seasons in, his editors and assistant director and other creators associated with The Chosen don't need him there for the editing process the whole time. You know what I mean?
So that kind of answers your question a little bit. Of right now, he's in production to do a full-length film, not a show, full-length film that's going to be coming out next Christmas for Lionsgate. It's going to be Lionsgate's Christmas movie.
Well, I think that he should have the freedom to work on something for Lionsgate or Amazon or Angel Studios. The idea that directors are, working for one company for all their movies, I think is that's the past. We need to move forward with, freelance directors, if you will, directors who are, their project is bought and paid for by a studio, and so they make it for that studio, and they have the freedom to move on.
Yeah, the sound of freedom, in fact, probably.
Oh yeah,
I think. But we're seeing it in another capacity as well. So, Guillermo del Toro, David Fincher, a couple others, they're moving to like the solely Netflix model. Whereas if you look at David Fincher, he did Fight Club. He's a huge director, and he's like, I'm now just making stuff that's going to be on Netflix. I'm
almost wondering if it's the instant pay, right? They're paid up front. They're paid up front. There's probably like a fixed rate. Then they have their budget. They can make whatever they want. And they know that it's going up on Netflix.
Well, I mean, we've seen this a little bit now, like Ryan Reynolds and even Adam Sandler has been doing this for years now. So I know those are actors, but
it's also this, the market is fluctuating. So, you might be working with Lionsgate, or you might be working with Disney, but you don't know if they're going to market your movie. You don't know if it's going to, get overlooked because Barbie and Oppenheimer came out at the same time. And so, but that it's going to go up on Netflix, and that the general audience is going to have access to it, and they're going to have access to it from the very beginning for a long time.
The general audience is important because it doesn't matter how crappy projects that get put out on Netflix, for some reason, myself included, we're not canceling our Netflix subscriptions. Why? No. Why are we not canceling when we haven't seen something we're super happy with in a while?
Because there's always hope for another Stranger Things. There's always hope for another Squid Game. There's always hope for another Arcane. There's always hope for another, movie that people enjoy, or a show that's really, really good.
And we think that can only happen sometimes inside the Netflix studio model.
I think that's absolutely it. I think Netflix has something every once in a while that is that works because that works because it's Netflix.
True.
Netflix has that, but
House of Cards, their very first original project, right?
I think Netflix is more consistent with it, but I think there's other studios that are also doing it. Like, last year, what was our favorite show of 2023, 2022 was The Bear, and that was Hulu.
Well, House of the Dragon, in my opinion, I think it was better than The Bear.
House of the Dragon was good, but The Bear was up there too.
But again, The Bear also was FX. It wasn't Hulu. All right.
Well, I know, but The Bear was on Hulu.
Again, though,
Hulu's Disney.
That's why people are keeping, I think, most of their subscriptions is because these studios are every once in a while. If Disney's not dropping something, then Netflix is dropping something. If Netflix isn't dropping something, Hulu's dropping something. If Hulu's not, then it's HBO. Max. And so or Apple, look, there's probably about 5 different high concept sci-fi shows to watch on Apple TV right now. You can go watch them.
Right.
You can go watch Foundation, or Silo series, or there's this other Alien one I think I saw.
It's a small cluster of good stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily like great, but it's definitely better than like the Sci-Fi Channel, the classic Sci-Fi Channel
because
stuff.
they're getting into the film epics. It would just stream Killers of the Flower Moon, right, which I watched there, and they're getting ready to stream Napoleon. So Apple TV Plus is actually doing something a little different. They're not only streaming and creating streaming style content, they are also getting into the theater released film epics, so that they're the first to get some of these amazing films.
Yeah. So wrapping back around, I think directors are trying to find that stability. And I think they know that if they just pick a studio, pick a streaming service, right? Pick a studio, stick with them. And Netflix seems to be the one that some people are going with. But like I was saying, I think that directors need that freedom to be able to go to whoever is going to do their project the most justice, and then
keep their hands off. Right?
Yeah, move on when they're done.
So you think this is good or shaky ground for Dallas Jenkins?
I think
right?
It's potential. It could potentially be good or bad, depending on what decision he makes. He could stick with Angel Studios, and that could be really great for him, or it could hold him back.
Yeah, I honestly think I think Angel Studios is going to have a bright future, but Dallas Jenkins is not going to be the golden boy of Angel Studios forever,
No.
Yeah.
So because they're going to do something else that hits really hard, and it's going to overshadow, especially when The Chosen is finished. And so, and yes, I think Dallas is a director and a creator, so he's going to go with a studio that funds his project, I think.
Yeah.
And if Amazon's that person, or if Amazon's that studio, then he'll go with Amazon. And I think in some ways, Dallas Jenkins is kind of becoming the Chris Nolan of faith films or faith projects.
Oh yeah,
because we go and watch his stuff because it's Dallas Jenkins,
right?
Not because we're like super excited for specifically what he makes, but he's Dallas Jenkins, so we're gonna watch it.
Well, and
no, I wouldn't say he's Christopher Nolan. You said Christopher Nolan. I would think
obviously it's not on the same level. I'm saying
I was gonna say
films,
he's more of like a Steven Spielberg in that regard, because like he's got those beloved classics where he's like, teaming up with John Williams, and that's
he doesn't have beloved classics yet. Dallas is
quite yet
ways to go,
but he's getting there. I think
he's definitely getting there.
He's definitely getting there
in the faith realm.
Oh yeah,
I think he has big potential to reach that for the faith-based films.
If you are around, maybe not the like conservative churches, but more of the non-denominational churches, like it is huge. Even this week, someone randomly that I work with had the three fish with the blue fish in the middle. It had a hoodie of it, and I was like, "Hey!" I would just walk past him. I pointed at him like, "Hey, I like your hoodie," and they're like, "Do you know what this is?" They gave me a funny look, and I was like, "Yeah, it's The Chosen," and I was like, "Yeah."
That's a stupid question. If you're at church, wait, were you at church?
No, it was just at work.
Okay. All right. Okay. Less of a stupid question.
This was at where I work, a secular retail company that's very popular. An employee was wearing a hoodie with the Chosen stuff on it. And
so he sees a guy working at Lowe's, and he's like, "You know this?"
He was like, "Wait, you know this?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's The Chosen." And he was like, "What?" And then like the next day, he came up to me and was like, "I went and told my family that you knew exactly what this was." And I was like, "Yeah,
dude." I would say
a lot of people know about
walking around of the American population. Walking around, I would say there's probably 2 out of 10 people that will know what that is. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
The Chosen is that big.
Yeah, especially
2 out of 10
like
people, and that's
South,
me being
where
conservative, right?
Yeah, especially here in the South, where like. I guess a Christian, I guess, is more popular. You know, it's
Christian
kind of the
culture.
normal. Yeah. Even if you're not a Christian, you know about it, and it's like you're aware of things.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. That's all I have. I do want to move on, but I did want to just bring that up because that's big news. I mean, Amazon's investing a lot of stuff. They had a lot of layoffs. It's weird to know where they're going with their film and video future, but for some reason they're investing in this. And I know even like with Lionsgate, Hollywood studios for a season pick up faith-based stuff until faith-based stuff stops working. And then they stop. Then another faith-based thing down the road gets really popular, and then they start looking at it again. So they're looking at it right now. If this has legs to stand on for the next 10 years, I'll be very surprised. But at least right now they're investing in it.
Yeah. And if Amazon's greed and hunger for money is helpful in the pushing of more good faith-based content, then good.
Good,
You know?
I guess.
Good, I guess.
As long as it doesn't turn into Noah and
Oh boy.
whatever.
Noah really was the capstone.
Yeah, but I don't think of what we've
generation
heard
of
and
faith-based content.
seen. Dallas Jenkins, I don't think he would be involved in a project.
Yeah.
like that. He would put a stop to it or walk away and say no.
Well, that's the thing, though. If a studio invests in Christian films, they make some Christian films with Christian people, and then they start giving Christian ideas or Christian stories to non-Christian people that are
like Martin Scorsese doing.
Well, Martin Scorsese is a Catholic, and although he's done some really raunchy films like Wolf of Wall Street, he does consider himself a lifelong Catholic, and so his Jesus film will be from the perspective of Catholicism.
Yeah.
So he's not really abandoning his core values or who he is as a person to do a Jesus film. It's just going to be a very Catholic Martin Scorsese Jesus film. That's what you can expect it to be. So mysteries on set.
What?
I got 3 big mysteries, which I did do AI generation for my cool.
Very cool. I like it.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't mean to scare people with an all of a sudden jump to, but if you're watching the podcast.
What's with these fonts for this?
Dude, I took what Google Slides had for me, and I just get them up there. Mysteries on set. I didn't throw this in Photoshop.
He really said, "Let there be white space."
Right. Yes, exactly. So mysteries on set. I got 3 mysteries that I found a bunch online. These were the 3 that I felt were the most interesting to me, or actually had the most, mixed with a popular film, combined with strange phenomenon or a strange scenario that people found themselves in that ultimately were. I'll give you this. 2 of them are unsolved-ish. Like there's not a good explanation. The 3rd has been solved, but it was solved like in 2022 and was unsolved since I think the 70s. Okay.
Wow.
Ooh.
So, and I'll give you a hint. It's related to the movie Jaws.
Ooh.
All right.
Ooh.
But the first one, we're going to talk about the Titanic.
Okay.
Mr.
Cameron.
Mr. Cameron.
I just watched the movie the other day.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it still?
It is what it is. You've seen it once. You've seen it. It's nothing special.
All right. So this doesn't deal with murder. This doesn't deal with spiritual or demonic activity in any capacity, which teases you up for what the next ones are.
Okay.
But this does deal with questionable food poisoning, or was it real poisoning? Right? All right. So
murder on the Titanic.
On the Titanic.
I was going to say Oriental.
All right. This was a scenario where 57 people were spiked or poisoned with PCP on set while filming the Titanic.
Awesome.
For the cast and crew.
It's funny. Chowder. It's funny. E. coli could you could be like, okay, yeah, something was bad. It's been in a freezer or whatever. PCP is not
That's
a naturally that's intentional.
All right, so
But
let me read some of this.
Okay.
One of the filming locations for James Cameron Titanic was Nova Scotia. Was in rural Nova Scotia. I've been to Nova Scotia, with the closest hospital having only one doctor and one nurse. That's not good.
Ooh.
This doesn't bode well for the cast and crew. One fateful day, during a meal break, 75 staff members were served clam chowder, including Cameron himself. Don't know if Leonardo and Kate took it, but it didn't take long after eating the soup before everyone in attendance began to feel very ill. All right.
Very ill.
It then goes on to say they went to the hospital, and it was guessed that the clam chowder was what you said. It was undercooked, or it was essentially food poisoning, right?
Mm-hmm.
On later inspection, okay, so forensic testing determined, however, that someone had spiked the whole pot of chowder with an entire pound of drug known as PCP. No one has ever claimed responsibility or been accused. Some theorize that it is basically a disgruntled cast or crew member that was fired for some reason, or had a vendetta against James Cameron or someone else. But no one ever took claim for it. So this is an unsolved mystery. Who tried to kill or seriously injure the entire cast and crew of the Titanic film?
I'm gonna say it was.
I don't have an answer to that question, by the way.
Okay.
But
This was here's my answer. This was a calculated measure taken by the food service folks. They were being worked too hard.
Well, there had to have been a lot of crew members.
A lot of people. 75 people are eating, and you're sitting there, and you're like, I've been up since 4 a.m. and my babies are at home, and they need their mama, and I'm here cooking.
I hate it here in Nova Scotia.
I hate it here.
Canada
I hate
sucks.
it here in Nova Scotia. And Mr. Cameron is just, expecting too much. I need a day off.
Yeah.
So they
now
PCP'd the clam chowder for a day
now
off.
I have this PCP. I know that
Where'd they get a pound of PCP?
Well, kitchen people have their ways.
Okay, kitchen people, but also like the film community, like the art.
Oh yeah,
people. They always got some kind of drug that they be doing.
Oh yeah, and that like this person, especially the reason that they spiked the clam chowder is because it's like, this is a big pot. There's a lot of food.
Right.
Yeah,
it's a massive pot. I can put this much PCP in, stir it around. It's gonna dilute. We're gonna serve it to people, and they're not gonna die, but they're gonna get sick. And then food services, they think that it's bad clams. I get the day off. But can you see, like, I mean, you definitely get the feeling that maybe they bought. It would be funnier. This would be a really funny skit if if the kitchen staff bought the PCP from Cameron.
Okay.
And so he's just clutching his stomach, and people are running back and forth across the set, and he just looks up, and the chef is there with a spoon in his hand, just looking at him across the set, dead in the eyes. And he knows that he can't say anything because he was in possession of PCP.
Yeah.
Right.
But he can't. But we know he can't say anything.
We know,
but he knows.
Yeah, you've got
it's funny.
The Heart Will Go On playing as they stare at each other in the eyes,
and then the back of his trousers just.
Yeah, it's over.
Wait, what was that, Joseph? Oh.
Everyone starts. 75 people get loose in their pants. All right, let's move on to the next one. That's a great theory. I like the kitchen staff theory.
Yeah, blame the kitchen staff.
The Exorcist.
Oh, I think I've heard of this
production.
One.
It was a demon.
Was
I
cursed.
think I've seen this.
All right. I will say this. Most demon or spiritual activity films claim this because it's good for what do you call it? Marketing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It's good for marketing. However, there are phenomenons that actually happen outside of anyone's control that happened due to this film. All right.
Okay.
Yep.
Give us
this one's a bit frightening.
Uh-oh.
All right. So it's widely held that the Exorcist film was cursed. During filming, multiple people were injured. Not uncommon. 4 people even died. So some under mysterious circumstances. This ranged from relatives of crew members to main cast. All right.
Wow.
Who passed during production or during post-production. So during the editing right after. This is also a crazy thing that happened. The set was also home to several freak accidents that caused multiple delays, including homes being used for set burning, including the home being used for the set burning to the ground. All right. So the set or the house that they filmed this in burnt to the ground, with the only surviving area being the room where the exorcism scene took place.
Dang.
All right. Not only this, but some who saw the movie in theaters fell ill during the screenings. Many quickly dismissed these claims as being a simple stroke of incredibly bad luck, but the filmmakers felt there were other forces at play, so much that they actually brought a priest to the set to bless it. So I know they did this with the Conjuring films preemptively. All right.
Little preemptive blessing.
Preemptively, they brought exorcist priests to bless the set for almost every Conjuring film that's happened, especially for the Annabelle and the Conjuring.
Super weird. I ain't being part of those productions.
The Exorcist was reactive. They're saying, we got some crazy bad stuff going on. We need a blessing. Somebody call the priest.
Wouldn't it be funny though? Wouldn't it be funny if you're just on set and you're filming or getting ready to film and you see a priest walk up and he's waving around some incense, he's dousing, maybe throwing some holy water, right? And then the next day there's like a Protestant preacher and he's out there and he's got a Bible and he's
King
around,
James and he's just
right? He's praying,
right?
He's praying, and then and then just various people that they have, like what's the Jewish what's
Orthodox Jews?
What's their preacher? Teacher.
They're a rabbi.
Rabbi. They got a rabbi there. He's doing He's doing what they do. Just every, and you're we just really got to make sure.
Well, that's how Exorcist Believer kind of goes. They had exorcism from multiple different religious backgrounds. That's how the film actually went.
Somebody's out there throwing some chicken bones on the ground.
That's what they did in Exorcist Believer, I'm pretty sure. In the newest exorcism movie, notice not to spoil, but one of the girls actually dies. All right. So that girl don't get out. The other one gets exorcised by not a Christian based faith, but it was like some other voodoo based faith, right? Based faith.
Oh my
God. The chicken bones are a part of it.
Oh, you're just laying out. You're just the exorcist girl. You're laying on the bed, a Bible, the candle, the Jewish candle, some chicken bones, some holy water. They're all just thrown on top of you. And those, let's hope.
One of those sound makers where you turn it upside down and it goes.
a rainmaker.
Yeah, rainmaker.
Like a Thor's hammer necklace.
Why am I picturing someone's got one and then they get one of the cow ones?
The cow one.
This is all that I could find at Walmart. Friggin', I don't know.
An atheist tosses like an iPad or something on the.
Be like, I don't know. Enjoy yourself.
Scientology. Tom Cruise is there.
Right. just giving them.
Why is
just
Tom Cruise the only Scientologist like ever?
Well, the only one
he's
that
the famous one. He's the famous one.
But they're just giving motivational speeches to the person.
And that you're just laying on the bed, shaking, and there's just all this crap on top of you.
Right. So that's the crazy thing that happens with The Exorcist. And this was, I think, there's been horror films, but this was the big one where they kind of went like, we're going hard. No audience has seen anything like this before. Yeah. And apparently productions have never seen. So my question is, do you guys think, obviously your personal faith and spirituality beliefs are going to play a part in this, but do you think that there is, because I tend to take a not skeptical view. It is skeptical, but not because I don't believe something like this can happen, but rather like even just look at this picture. You see the wires off of the ceiling that's holding her up. So when you're on set, the realism that you're editing together, it's just not that real. When it comes down to it, it's just a house. You know what I mean? It's just a girl with face paint on who's acting silly in between, and her like a normal girl. Yeah. And with like in between takes, a normal girl that's just kind of fun, and she has some fun ideas about life, and she's entertaining everybody with her energy. Right. And so I just don't see how something like that's just going to conjure a demonic activity unless someone like brings some demonic activity to the set. You know what I mean? Or demonic openings, like welcoming doors or whatever.
Here's a theory. Okay. There is something to there's definitely, I think, something to the irreverence of the Bible, of God's name. Okay. And definitely on a movie set, there's not going to be too much reverence for those things. Right. And so I think it's absolutely possible that when you are, when you're allowing that sort of behavior, and especially using it for personal gain and everything, you maybe invite a little bit of catastrophe, a little bit of attention on yourself. Right.
I know there was some pretty crazy things written into the script for during the exorcism that is very irreverent to God, right? Right. Yeah. In this film. So, but that's expected if you talk about someone who's possessed by a demon, but yeah, you're right. I think an environment of people with different backgrounds, with an interest in making a film like this, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? You have dabbled into stuff that you probably shouldn't have, and you bringing stuff around, writing stuff.
We also don't know the personal history of the folks, working on this film. Lots of people are into lots of different things, and you bring that with you where you go. Right.
That's I kind of had that same thought. I feel like there's almost an innate feeling around that, because there's a kid when we were little, Josh, you remember, I don't want to say his name, but he just was open to all kinds of weird beliefs, and he went to the church. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And we invited him to like a boys' camp out in our parents' backyard one time, and he just started going on and on about his beliefs about monsters and spirits and stuff that like are in the woods. And it's like, right, you're a little delusional, but also just his willingness to be open to that gave me a weird vibe, because he's very serious about this stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
Also could have been on the spectrum a little bit, but
right.
Yeah. But just a very weird vibe around him that came with that. So I see what you're saying. The openness and the backgrounds can bring up, you could just bring that wherever you go.
Right. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of people would probably look at this and say, all right, well, Christianity is pretty crazy too. You're, putting your faith into something you can't see. And you would be right. You would be correct to be skeptical, but there's also, a big portion of it is morality.
Yeah.
Well, majority of it's morality.
The big, it's morality, it's kindness, it's
Love.
living
Others
in
before yourself.
Yeah, living in the light, right? Whereas a lot of these things, there's don't have those morals.
Well, think about
don't have
this.
that idea of staying in the light, staying away from the darker things.
Yeah. Satanism is very self-focused and selfish for the point of it. And it's also like Satanism is built around the idea of making fun of Christianity more than it is like actual Satan worship.
Yeah.
But that aside, you have things like Scientology, which is very self-focused. It's what can I do to make my life maxed out? You know what I mean? You have things like, right. I don't want to name all of them because I don't want to just go on a tangent about what I believe I think is right. But you're right. Christianity is built around this idea of very strong morals that surpasses just what the Bible says about it. Right. It's like to the human soul, it's, this is right. This is good. This is wrong. And the Bible gives clarity to that. When you feel like something's wrong in your conscience, your Jiminy Cricket.
Right.
The Bible covered that already. It tells you, hey, that's the right thing to do. So your Jiminy Cricket's aligned with what the Bible points out as morality.
It's staying in the good and staying away from the bad.
Right.
And your conscience kind of knows what's what. Even in, I would say, the secular morality realm. And so if you're bringing other stuff into it, then you're I think you're inviting trouble, and you don't want to invite trouble.
Right.
I mean, I definitely hear James Stewart in the back of my head once in a while being like, yeah, you shouldn't do that.
The preacher? James Stewart, the preacher, or Jimmy Stewart, the actor?
Jimmy Stewart, the actor.
Jimmy. No, it's James Stewart. That's his name. James
I think
Stewart.
It goes either way. Jimmy or Jim. James. I don't think he went by James. I think he went by Jimmy, but his name is James.
Jimmy.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Sure. The guy, the actor who
the Scottish evangelist, or the actor who played in Rear Window.
Right.
Rear Window.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's my Jiminy Cricket.
Okay. The last one, I promised Jaws, right?
Okay.
It was a murder that took place on July 26, 1974.
Wow.
There was a woman's body that was found and unidentified. No family that they could find identified her.
Wow.
She was labeled as the Lady of the Dunes, okay? This is a police sketch of her, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for a long time, it was just an unsolved mystery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Until a interesting point of time. Where is this article that I found? Okay, let me share this. This is on Wikipedia.
I hear a baby.
Yeah, it's Josie. So the son of famous writer and author Stephen King, his name's Joe Hill. He had just finished reading a book, I think it's called The Skeleton Crew, how amateur sleuths and solving America's coldest cases. All right. And he started, I think he either took interest in this or something, but he made an observation. So when the body was found, the police report described a blue bandana on the head and blue jeans. Interestingly enough, this finding of the body was in Massachusetts, right? And it happened weeks after the Jaws film wrapped. And the body was discovered 100 miles from where it was being filmed, Jaws.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. During the film, Joe Hill, son of Stephen King, discovered someone in the film that he thinks appears to be this woman.
Okay. So like an extra.
An extra
or
in
just
the
somebody
film.
walking around in the crowd.
Yes, in the film.
Wow.
For a long time, it's been debated if this is the woman. She has the blue jeans. She has the bandana. She died shortly after the Jaws film and pretty close by where the Jaws film was filmed. All right.
Yeah.
This matched the description. And it, as far as the sketch goes, if I go back and forth, it could be her.
It could be her.
It could be her. As I said at the beginning of the podcast, but if you're watching this on clip, this was recently a solved case. This has become a solved case.
Okay.
I will say this. We do not have confirmation if this woman was actually in the Jaws film as an extra. That part has never been revealed because the friends and family must not have loved this woman very much to notice that she just disappears forever. You know what I mean? So basically, I think it was in 2022, the DNA evidence from the body was recently matched up with relatives. Obviously, with all of the DNA, family tree tracking they have now, they were able to pull this out of the archive, utilize that technology. They found friends and family close to the DNA that matched the DNA evidence, and it became known that this woman was Ruth Marie Terry.
Okay.
Or Ruth Marie. Marie?
Yeah,
I got it right the
Marie.
first time.
Yeah.
So this is a picture of her. This is, I don't think that's a picture of her. I'm confused because they have sketch artists. They have a picture of this woman, Ruth Terry, and then this, which I'm not even sure what that is.
It says it's a reconstruction. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
So,
okay,
it must from the body.
Finish the story, and then I have some questions.
All that to say, they discovered who this body was. All right, Ruth Terry.
Mm-hmm.
The family probably didn't know very well because she just went missing and nobody filed a missing persons report. No, nothing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But they figured out what family she was in, and they I guess summarized that this is based on DNA evidence. This is Ruth Terry. So with that being said, if we were to go back and forth between these two, do you think it still could be her?
I think it still could be her.
Because we don't have confirmation if she ever was an extra on the Jaws set.
No.
Yeah. It could still be her.
It could still be her. And the description of the body that was found is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Joe Hill is onto something.
Okay,
Right?
so what you're saying is there was a murder about 100 miles after the filming.
Weeks after the film wrapped.
Yes, after the filming of Jaws. And it's believed, it's not been proven, but it's believed that she was an extra in the film.
It has recent, since the 70s, it's unsolved. Now we know this woman that was murdered is Ruth Terry.
Okay, we know she was murdered. Does it
don't
give any
know
indication of who murdered her?
Yes, the boyfriend or the husband.
Oh, Billy Ray Smith.
Okay.
Wait, have
we talked to Billy?
It was on the Wikipedia.
Billy?
It said spouse Billy Ray Smith.
Yes, yeah. It's concluded. I guess probably best guess. It's hard to know.
Have we talked to Billy?
Husband.
Does he confess to?
Billy's probably dead.
Yeah, but when he was still alive,
so we don't know if it was Billy. That's the guess.
It says, let's see. Age 23, following short marriage, Terry left Whitwell to work at Fisher Body, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, so they were split up.
I don't know.
It sounds like
that's an interesting part of the mystery that I did not look into for you. Why is
right?
Sorry.
Well, there's something at the bottom about Terry was listed as deceased, somebody being in a witness protection program.
Where at the bottom, down where the Jaws expert?
No, it was up.
Was?
No, it was up. It was in background.
Okay.
Private investigator, her brother, I think, Terry's brother, traveled to California, hired a private investigator. Investigator told Terry's family that all of her belongings had been sold and that she had left the state of her own will after becoming involved with a religious cult. In the 2 decades prior to her identification, Terry was listed as deceased in her family obituaries. Carol theorized that she was in a witness protection program and could not contact her family. Wouldn't that be wild if wouldn't it be wild if you're in a witness protection program in Massachusetts?
Wait a minute.
And the person who was trying to find you and killed you found you and killed you.
Right.
Like on the set of Jaws, like they were working on Jaws.
Oh, that's crazy.
That would be pretty
They
rough.
noticed you in Massachusetts, and they're like, "All right, well, I'll wait for a little while. Wait till we're wrapped,
right?
And then I'll go find her and kill her."
Or even like,
that
a friend of a friend be like, her husband's friend or somebody.
Yeah, worked on.
Weren't you looking for your wife?
Hey man, hey Billy Ray. Hey Billy Ray, weren't you looking for that broad Terry?
Yeah,
she's
I
out
just
here
saw her the other day on
Massachusetts.
Yeah, she's filming this Spielberg film,
this Spielberg shark film.
And people film.
I haven't seen the shark they're using. They just have a bunch of cameras all the time. I don't see any sharks, but she's out here.
People talk too, so even if he just like saw her and talked to her, he might call up the husband or something and be like, "Hey, I saw her the other day because." I
thought your wife was dead. Everybody thought, or it was somebody else part of that religious cult who was like, it called their religious leader, was like, "Oh, dude, I just found that one that got away."
Yeah, that's crazy.
There's so much crazy stuff going on with this.
There is. All right, we do have to move on though.
Oh yeah, we do.
But before we do, thank you, Shelby. An hour into the podcast.
Right.
And thank you, Shelby. I told you we have a doozy today. What did I say?
Well, Shelby, thank you for being a Patreon supporter. If you guys want to support us on Patreon, go check that out. There's a lot of exclusive content. And this podcast comes out on Monday rather than Friday. So several days early. You get a pre-show. You get exclusive watch parties, and go check it out if that sounds interesting.
Thank you, Shelby. We love you. All right, Joshua, you said you had a recommendation. You wanted
recommendation or more of a review. So we watched Self-Reliance last night with Jake Johnson and Anna Kendrick. Jake Johnson's first directorial debut. It was really good. I mean, I wouldn't say it was like the best film ever, but I told Ethan, I'm like, I'm going to put this on. We're going to peep at it. And if it's not captivating us, we can switch to something else. We finished the movie. It was good.
Yeah. Yeah. It was enjoyable. It
really
was
enjoyable.
Definitely had that indie feel.
Good.
What I feel like could have been a really scary concept, was a little bit, more, what's the word I'm looking for? Downplayed. Because the movie does a really good job of making you unsure if all of this is in Jake Johnson's head. Yeah. Or if it's really happening. Even at the end.
Okay.
You're thinking, was it real?
Happening?
Is it actually happening? And that's that's a really good way to tell a story.
And it didn't. So it was almost a comedy / love story.
Right.
Yeah. I wish they had maybe leaned into the love story bit.
Yeah. So, and that's what I was going to touch on. They didn't lean heavily into either side. It was just almost where they leaned into was Jake Johnson's character. They leaned into his life and like who he was as an individual. So it was like a telling of his story, but it had a through plot of a story in it.
I think it needed about 20 more minutes of the movie so that we could have spent a little bit more time with Anna Kendrick's character.
Oh yeah,
and gotten maybe a little bit more serious with that because it's a little bit it's a little bit, you know, not goofy, but they're having a fun time, and then it gets a little bit serious with her for like a second.
yeah.
But when he's talking to her,
much.
when he's talking to her, when he comes back, like I wanted more of that conversation, more of them trying to hash it out, being really serious about it, and.
That was the cliffhanger of the movie. Like at the end, the cliffhanger, but you know what
in the end, when he makes his decision, I wish there had been maybe just a little bit more
showing us that.
Well, it would have been nicer for the emotional like interest, right?
Okay, yeah.
For the emotional interest in their relationship, if they had had a little bit more of a heavy conversation and there had been a little bit more doubt in him, it would have made that very special moment at the end hit that much harder.
Yeah. So
What's this film called again?
Self-Reliance.
Self-Reliance.
An interesting thing that I didn't know about, it's Jake Johnson, but Andy Samberg and Lowly Island? Is that his production company?
Lonely Island?
Yeah. They're the ones who self-supported.
I thought that was his rap name.
Well, they're the ones who did this film. They supported it. That's why Andy Samberg is in this movie, because they're the ones who funded this movie. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and aside from I would say aside from swearing, there's quite a bit of swearing in the movie, but there's nothing gratuitous.
No, not really.
Okay.
Nothing gratuitous
I would give
in the movie.
It had its shortcomings. It's Jake Johnson's first directorial debut, so I would say it wasn't the best, but I would give it a 6 out of 10.
Also, Jake works really well with old people. I'm finding out.
Yeah, like
he has like an
older men.
Yeah, he's like an old homeless best friend in this.
Oh yeah,
and the dynamic his dynamic with people, basically anyone,
anybody, yeah,
he's really good. His dynamic is really good. His dynamic, even with like the ninja guy who is in Stranger Things.
Oh yeah.
The hippie kind of high,
the long hair
friend, with the long hair. His dynamic with him is unique. Good. His dynamic with Anna Kendrick, with the old man, it's all
right.
He's really good at character work and relationships with people.
Jake Johnson is he does what Quentin Tarantino does, where he has those long conversational based scenes, because Jake Johnson is good at that, but he adds like a touch of humor in them to make them good. But I think I almost want a little bit more serious, and then they would be like perfect, because Jake Johnson is good at that, having the natural conversations. I would definitely recommend it. That's my recommendation.
Yeah, give it a watch.
Okay, and since I haven't seen the movie, I will watch it. But I think of a podcast that would pair well with watching this film is go to Rick Glassman's Take Your Shoes Off podcast.
Oh yeah, yep.
He just came out with a podcast with Jake Johnson. I would recommend maybe watching the film and then watching the podcast. I'm doing the reverse. I watch the podcast, and then I'm going to watch the film. So, but I feel like if you watch the podcast after the film, you might actually really enjoy that conversation and the playfulness and humor of that podcast.
Yeah, great. Absolutely.
All right. We have a problem. All right. News stories for modern audiences. Joshua, where'd you go?
Sorry, I had to grab some real quick. I'll be right back.
All right. News stories for modern audiences. This is a hard to define, but constantly repeated narrative. All right. And we're seeing it not just in films. In fact, I have an example that I'm going to pick on this person, as well as giving them a little slack. Okay.
Okay.
So, if anyone is listening or watching this, I'm sure at some point, if you're annoyed with the current version of storytelling and filmmaking, it's all under this guide of attempting to create new stories for modern audiences. All right.
Yeah.
So if they're doing remakes of, say, Star Wars, well, we're trying to do new Star Wars for modern audiences. And in my opinion, at least when it comes to movies, and I feel like in the gaming world, I've heard whispers of it not being well accepted there either, right?
Oh boy, it's bad in the gaming world.
Also, do you guys like this AI generated art?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's cool.
The best.
Cool. All right. So modern audience, you see all the different audience members there? Yeah, all right.
Wait, dude, it's diverse. I think I see
I see Andrew Santino there.
That's Andrew Santino right there with
yeah, I see him right there.
I'm sure Bobby's in there somewhere.
Right. But a black woman, probably gay, is front and left.
Center.
Biggest on the
Yeah.
Make her gay and lame.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to play a clip that is from the new Indiana Jones and the Circle of something, right?
Yeah.
You don't even know the name.
I've seen some clips from the game itself, and the game actually looks pretty fun.
It does. Now, I'll say this. The game on the surface looks good. The creators seem to have their heads in the right place for capturing a fun Indiana Jones game. I'm not a huge gamer, and so I can't speak into this as much. And I'll let gaming channels and Wyatt say what they will about this. But I don't have a problem with this. I have a problem with, I had a reaction, which I think a lot of people did if they watched this video. This is kind of the behind the scenes making of the game. It's like a big promo video that was released.
Yeah.
First off, I think it's the chief narrative officer for this game. So again, the people that are saying this new story for modern audiences, they seem to fall into the woke crowd. And when I say they fall into the woke crowd, he doesn't have to tell you if he goes by he.
Right.
You just have to see him. All right.
Okay.
So let's watch this. So the people that are controlling the way the stories for these things go. All right.
Sure.
Now we have the opportunity to tell a new Indiana Jones story for a modern gaming audience.
Okay.
Oh,
so
boy.
that says senior
Oh,
narrative designer.
boy.
All right. Is what his title was. So the person. All right. So look, I'll play a clip from the game trailer just so people can say, look, this does look kind of cool.
Protector of the Chukulimani, the Great Circle.
All right, let me back it
Okay.
up a touch because that's just like a little, like this is actually gameplay.
All right. Trap, adventure, fight.
Right.
Ooh, cool.
Yeah, I'll keep going. He's about to jump wings. Woo!
All right.
All right. So look, it looks pretty cool. And everything up to this point, you're like, all right, I respect these. And then we get to the senior. And I said, I'm going to give him some flack and pick on him. All right. Because he might be a true gamer that really cares about Indiana Jones and the adventure and the story and the love for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But when you are the person that the senior narrative designer mixed with
Big thing.
the way you choose to present yourself
Oh, yeah.
visually, where we obviously know what groups you hang out with and what you care about politically and what you care about socially. It's obviously because you wear it on not just your sleeves, but your chest and your head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe in your pants. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But you're literally wearing what you value, but you are the one that seems to be in charge of the narrative design for this game.
Yeah.
So my question is, you see all these wonderful looking people that are associated with this game, and then the person that looks like that seems to be the one who's designing the story for this game.
Are you
know what I
going
mean?
to show us or no?
Yeah.
We
it's a
saw it.
black,
Oh,
it's a
okay,
black
okay, that's what I
screen.
thought.
I don't know if we're gonna have something up there.
Look,
Yeah,
let
didn't
me
know.
pull him back up.
So here's the thing, because I think his name was Gerard.
Okay.
Mr. Jaw.
Look at all these wonderful people.
Yeah.
Beautiful woman who cares about Indiana Jones.
Right.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
When we get into this idea of narrative for
Right.
you, right? We know what's important for us narratively, and we know what's important for California and for this kind of crowd. We know it's important for them narratively. And when you put this person as head of your narrative
design
for the modern audience, we know who he thinks the modern audience is.
Well, it does say senior narrative design, so he could be high up on the team. Maybe he's not making the decisions,
right? But the modern audience is him, and people like him.
That's the big question: what
the
is the modern audience?
The modern audience is a minority.
Okay,
it's not a majority. The modern audience that they're attempting to cater to is a minority. And the problem, so that's the problem. When you say you're catering to a modern audience, that phrasing is wrong. You should be catering to a general audience.
Right. And I feel like all of Hollywood in the past has done this general audience, and then they switched it to modern audiences, which we don't even know exactly how that's defined. In my opinion, because I looked up, I have 5 articles that define it differently. Some people say it's because of attention spans with technology. Some people say it's because of identity politics and what is society. Other people are saying it has to do with interpersonality with stories, because people are so glued to technology and virtual communication that they highly value and connect with things that make them feel personally with the content. So it's defined in so many ways of what the modern audience is, but it's interesting that the people that tend to be designing the narratives for these existing IPs, which are created for the general audiences to make the most money and to please the most amount of people, switched it. And what is the quote he says? Let me back it up a hair. All right.
We have the opportunity.
Listen to the quote.
Now we have the opportunity to tell a new Indiana Jones story for a modern gaming audience.
Okay.
Why do we need a new Indiana Jones story for a modern audience?
Right.
No,
he says
the same generation.
He says we have the opportunity.
Yeah.
So modern ideals and with their hands on an IP that they didn't invent, that they have no respect for, and that they feel like they can do whatever they want with. And there's a reason that Indiana Jones is still popular. It's because the modern audience can still identify with Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Right?
It doesn't matter.
And the movie was made
a majority
almost 40 years ago or something ridiculous like that.
Well, the thing is, I think what you said, the general audience is important, because I think the general audience still exists. So I don't know why we are changing it to modern audience when the general audience is the majority and probably will always be the majority.
I mean,
as far as what they care about and enjoy.
You have to agree, and I'm going to play devil's advocate a tiny bit. The general audience, the existing audience that are fans of Indiana Jones,
okay,
when the movie came out, is going to be like our parents. And are our parents sitting down and playing a video game? No,
absolutely not.
So but we're also talking. This is just the recent example. This bleeds into every form of entertainment as well, not just gaming.
I'm just saying, like, someone who was in their early 20s or in their 20s, maybe getting to their 30s, back when the movie came out, the first Indiana Jones movie, are probably not going to be the people playing this game.
True, but the reason that Indiana Jones is still popular is because people still identify with the character.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
value what he values. And
I mean, we watched the movie when we were younger, and we weren't around when it came out.
So the game needs to do the same thing. It needs people to identify with Indiana Jones, who he is in the movies. It needs to be the same in the game.
Which the same in the game is to general audiences. And if you are making it for a modern audience, you are coming at it from the wrong perspective. And it's interesting that the person that looks like he does, which if you're listening on audio, he's wearing a Pride shirt. He's got a side head shave.
Yeah.
A side head shave.
That mixed with his other physical appearance attributes screams highly woke liberal values, right?
Right.
And so
I hate to be this guy, but I would respect him and everything that he said more if he did not look the way he did.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. I'd be interested to hear how he defines
with what he said, and if he just presented himself in a better way,
and
like a professional way.
How are you supposed to tell a story that everybody can identify with, which isn't the goal? They don't want a story that everybody can identify with. They want a story they can identify with. But how do you tell a story that everybody can identify with when you can't, when people can't identify with you?
No.
Right?
Well, also think about this. Everybody in that video is talking about things that the fan of the classic Indiana Jones cares about, and they're like, "Sounds good." The high end creator, the guy directing, if you will, the game itself, he's saying all the right things for fans of Indiana Jones. And then we hit this guy with his appearance and the talking point that other people with the same appearance says is news stories for modern audiences. Why is that? It's a woke talking point at this point. You know
it's on purpose. It's on purpose.
He looks woke, and he's the one saying the woke talking point when everyone else in the video is chill and saying the right stuff. You know what I mean?
What's interesting is that this is most likely a white man who is a diversity hire, which is incredible to me. It's incredible to me. It's incredible to me that white men have become diversity hires.
They are
to check boxes.
We found our way back in.
Right. What was that? I was listening to a comedian. He's like, "Man, I can't wait till trans women supplant all real women in sports, because then it's going to be like awesome."
Yeah. Now we'll have it. Now we'll have something to watch.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's the Dave Chappelle joke in that one special where he says, the gay guy's driving the car full of all the rest of the diversities. And he's like, we'll drive because we know these roads. We built these roads. You know what I mean? The gay white guys, the gay white guys built them roads.
Right.
Now, it's, I think it's repeated over and over again, especially by the progressive liberal ideology entertaining people that are getting degrees and then getting into Hollywood or getting into these entertainment sectors, and their focus is liberal agendas through the story. It's just so interesting to me that someone that looks like him, that says what he said, is the senior narrative designer.
Yeah.
Like, why is he not like the senior art designer? You know what I mean? No, he's he's on the team for what the story of the game holds. You know what I mean? A lot
of it, this sort of general storytelling, most people can identify with the bond or the love between a parent and their child.
Yes.
Right? For example, a father and a son, or a father and a daughter, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is, these people will say, well, I couldn't identify with my father because they didn't approve of my lifestyle.
Okay.
Right? So I don't want to tell stories that everybody can identify with because I can't identify with my father.
Oh,
right. I can't.
Deep.
Yeah. And they do, they have all of these trauma issues, and believe that because they have an issue with something, everybody should have an issue with it. I don't have trauma with my father. So when I see things in movies and TV where there's really good father-son bonding, connection, emotion, it hits me in the chest. Because,
or where there's loss, like
right.
Tarzan loses his parents. That
Exactly.
scene hits hard because you understand the loss of parents is so heartbreaking.
It's hard,
right?
and to even imagine losing your father, right?
Yeah.
It's good. It's things that people can identify with, and it's incredible that this is where they're going. And I think what's worse is that it's just a checkbox, that they are redesigning society, redesigning entertainment based on checking a box.
Yeah. And it's just it just baffles me because like I look at all of the guys sitting behind the computers and talking in this video and I see myself in them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I see myself in the group of geeks that look like normal dudes that are interested in Indiana Jones and designing on computers and being creative. And then the audacity to pull that guy in for an interview and to put on his title, I control the story, or I have some say over what the story is, and I dress like this. And I care about the modern audience. That
is it not
enraging?
Is it not insulting as that guy? Is it not insulting to simply be there to check a box?
It is. They're happy with it.
They're telling you. They're telling you that this is progressive. That this is pushing the right. Right is pushing right think, but really they're just trying to check a box. You may think you're doing something good, but they're just trying to check a box. That should be insulting to those people.
If the dude that is in charge of the story of Indiana Jones, I want him to be such a geek and fan. I want him to be coming to work dressed as Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I wanted him to be in the leather. Now, look,
I want him to have a satchel. I want him to pull out the whip during his interview and you know what I mean?
If that dude with his haircut and his t-shirt and his body shape, if he had been wearing the hat and the jacket with a whip
I wouldn't
on
have batted an eye
right here, and he still had maybe he even still had that t-shirt on, I'd have been like, okay, so this dude clearly cares about Indiana Jones.
And he also cares about the gays, I guess.
Yeah, and that's how that dude dresses every day. They're like, oh yeah, Gerard. He comes in like that.
I think his name's Edward, not Gerard.
Is it Edward?
I think it's Edward.
He looks like a Garrett.
He looks like a Garrett. I would agree.
He looks 100% like. I
love how our whole segment
Edward Curtis,
one guy. I love how
Curtis. Edward. That's where I'm getting Gerard.
Look, this is a recent example that there's hundreds of examples. I mean, who was the last example? The last example was the new Star Wars director. This example before that was actress, what's her face? Snow White actress.
Yeah. I would like to point out that the homie is wearing a Confederate jacket.
Oh, dang. That's a statement,
the
bro.
Homie doesn't realize.
To mix those colors?
them colors don't bleed, brother. Homie's wearing a Confederate jacket.
And look who's going to be backing racism next.
Ooh. This is funny. It's actually funny that it's a cool jacket, but it's that's definitely a Confederate jacket.
If he would have put the Indiana Jones hat on, I could mix the hat with this jacket and be more okay with this.
Okay with it,
I need to look, unless maybe it's you have to wear a shirt with those colors in order to be. I'm gonna get real mean, so I hope Edward never sees this. To be that physically shaped and have a haircut the way he does,
right?
Yeah. Because a haircut the way he does, you need to be a jacked Viking looking dude, but you're not. You look like a Pillsbury.
I would say his haircut's not helping him. His haircut's not helping him out.
And I'm say a lot of people in this community have the same problem.
And I would say I would actually say to Eddie, shave it off. You would look great with just a bald head.
Yeah, you could be bald.
Yeah,
we're calling him Eddie now.
Eddie,
Eddie or whatever.
I would definitely say to shave it off. The bald head look would be good.
Maybe, yeah.
And if you're really trying to get progressive, maybe a Confederate jacket
Ain't the move.
Ain't the move.
Yeah, I wouldn't go for
I
it.
mean, hold on. If he wants to be real edgy, I mean, there's all this anti-Semitism going around in that community these days. Just throw on on the sleeve. Go for it.
mean,
See what
right.
happens. You're
I
also
don't know if
wearing
you can say that in our
You're also
podcast.
wearing the right colors, right?
There's.
I'll dip that.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying that.
word.
I'm just saying that the Confederate jacket is a little bit of an oxymoron with the rest of his whole vibe.
Right. Josh,
So-
why you get all tense when I said the word?
Josh's muscles. Josh is tight right now.
Joshua's lower back got all tense and a bead of sweat.
I'm just
dripped
thinking of
down.
our podcast and where we're going with this. Not that I'm
It's all right.
agree with you guys. Just I'm thinking,
Look, there's more people. Obviously, I'm telling a joke.
yes.
On top of that, there's a lot of people that feel the same way that we feel.
Mhm.
We got to give voice to it. And we don't do this all the time, but I did want to tackle this with this guy as the example. New stories for modern audiences. I think the conclusion to this is the modern audience is somewhat defined. It's being clouded in mystery. But the real thing that we don't even need to worry about the modern audience, worry about the general audience. Create entertainment for them. That's what Tom Cruise is doing, right?
Oh, Tom
Yeah.
Cruise is
All the
doing
successful
it.
stories and
the
films and books and games are gearing it towards the general audience. And they get successful. So I don't know what to say other than that. I think that's a good place to kind of hold, bookmark this conversation as far as modern audiences go.
Okay.
Well, it's definitely more and more present in the entertainment industry. It's leaked into the gaming industry. It's leaked into the book industry. And so it's getting harder and harder to avoid it, man. You're looking at articles and you're just like, man, how do I get away from Hollywood, California crap, man? I just want to have a good time.
I'm just here for a good time,
Right?
Not a long time,
Yeah.
right?
And man, it sometimes seems really combative.
It seems impossible, dude.
Yeah. So,
Seems impossible.
but no, I think talking about what people want to see, what people enjoy seeing, making it known what the general audience actually wants is important to
Right.
having studios actually make that.
Right. Because also when you say modern audiences, we don't know how you define that.
Right. Everybody defines it differently.
Yeah. And with that, I think we should hit up some fun games.
Okay.
Fun. You got something for me. You got something for Wyatt.
I got
This is
something
gonna be
for you.
fun.
So we got
And trivia.
right. Trivia. Now, trivia is good for podcasting.
Yes.
That's what
Yeah.
I found because you learn something and you have fun guessing, right?
Okay.
When you're doing a
We keep
game that
guessing.
requires talking, trivia is it, right? So let's go to the first question. This is multiple choice, and this is called Bizarre Movie Inspirations. Again with the
Yeah.
font.
Yeah. I was about to say, I'm glad you preempted because I was about to
Right.
say.
Bizarre movie inspirations.
I feel like this
I'll
season
say
is
this.
not going to be page to projector. It's going to be just the AI generated season.
No. I think I'm just gonna try my best to get some AI generation art because it's so accessible now.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's fun. It makes it more unique.
You need to use.
I'm
the
not
tools that
stealing
we have.
content. Yeah, I'm not stealing from Google Images all the time. I'm
Yeah.
creating using my
Yeah.
friend Artificial.
Is that your friend? Is that his name? Artificial.
Yeah, it's his first name. Now, here's the first question. I think I got
Okay.
7 questions.
Yes.
So you guys keep track of how when you get one correct. All right.
Okay. 7 questions.
All right. Alfred Hitchcock features the distrust of police officers in his films. This is because option A, he was arrested many times while filming. Option B, he was locked in a jail cell as a kid. Option C, he had a notorious drinking and driving problem. I'm not keeping track of your points, so you guys got to do that.
Say option C.
You're
It
going
just-
with
I'm gonna-
size C.
Hitchcock seems like the kind of guy.
See, I agree. That's my first instinct.
I did.
is C.
I did multiple
I'm-
choice, so you guys
I'm
can
gonna
pick
go with-
different if you want. All right.
I'm gonna go with B just because I think I want to do different than Wyatt.
Okay.
So you're going with B.
Yep, and he's going with C.
All right. The answer is B.
Woo!
Oh wow.
He was
Woo!
locked
Very
in a
good.
jail cell as a kid. Actually, his dad locked him up in a
Dang.
jail cell as a kid as a punishment for him doing a petty, technically illegal crime, but it wasn't like something he was getting caught for. He doesn't explain what it was, but his dad found out, and as a consequence, he went and locked him in a jail cell for like 5 minutes. And apparently that traumatized him. I think he
Aw,
was 5 years
boo-hoo.
old. I think he was 5 years old, and he is never, he calls it a phobia of the police.
Okay.
All right. All right. The Country Bears movie was based on, all right, a dream the director had, an old country song, or a Disney World ride.
Oof. It's either
Have you guys seen this movie?
yeah,
I
yeah,
have.
yeah. It's
I
either,
saw it when I was really young.
Does
Yeah.
it count that I know the answer?
Keep it to yourself until
Yeah.
you do like, I would do 3, 2, 1, and you can say it so Joshua doesn't just
Well,
copy you.
How about
right?
I'll make my decision and then Wyatt can
Say it, but you're locked in, right?
Yeah.
All right. So what do you
It-
think it is, Joshua?
It's either B or C. My first instinct was B, but I don't know. It could be a ride. I'm going to say it's not, only because I know Pirates of the Caribbean was based on a
right.
ride.
I was gonna say there is other examples of
There's definitely
rides,
other examples of movies that came from a Disney World ride.
right.
I'm going to say B, but I'm not sure.
All right. What is it?
I'm pretty sure it's a ride. I'm pretty sure it's an experience.
C, a Disney World ride.
I knew
All
it. I
right.
knew it was one of them. So it's 1 and
So,
1.
1 and 1. Okay, you guys are tied up.
Yeah.
Dan O'Bannon was inspired to write Alien, basically, with the idea of the chest bursters, right? So the guy who wrote Alien, he was inspired with the idea of the chest bursters because of his interest in the phrase broken heart,
Okay.
psychedelic mushroom use, or Crohn's disease.
I'm going to go with C.
I'm gonna go with A because
All
that's weird.
It's weird. It sounds like a writer's thing, doesn't it?
And I've watched a lot of Alien trivia. I've never heard this.
His Crohn's disease.
Wow.
Okay.
What is Crohn's disease?
It's
You got
you
the
have
bubble guts. You don't know how to digest food well. You got
Ah.
that
No.
inflammation.
you've got
There's
not to be
it's a
too
lot of
graphic,
problems.
you've got holes in your bowels, your stomach. bowels,
Gotcha.
really.
Okay.
The pain from Crohn's disease and the symptoms come from not just the holes, but the inflammation your body goes through in your guts because of the disease. So
Dang.
all of the bad symptoms. He said that I believe his quote went something like, it would feel like his stomach was going to burst at times.
Right.
And that gave him the idea of the chest bursters. But you like that? I came up
Interesting.
with the broken heart thing.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Interest in the phrase broken heart. Yeah.
That's good improv.
Thank you. Here's the Princess Bride one. Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah.
Inigo Montoya's triumphant speech is so powerfully delivered because Mandy Patinkin, is that how you say his last name?
Patinkin.
Patinkin.
Yeah.
Imagined he was killing the cancer that took his own father, or Mandy Patinkin was emotionally drained and vulnerable from shooting this fight scene all day. So they used the last shot of the day, actually, the last take. Which is it?
I'm
I
gonna
know-
I know.
go with
I know the answer.
A because
Wyatt
that's very
knows.
specific. Okay, A. I'm saying A because that's
It's A.
specific.
It is A. You both. I figured Wyatt should know this, but I think as long as we keep doing these questions, we need to keep testing his knowledge.
Yeah.
On the Princess Bride lore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, that's
All right. So yeah, Mandy Patinkin imagined he was killing the cancer that did take his own father. All right.
And that's
It's a
morbid
bit sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it also, man, gave
Good
us
for
such
your
an-
character though.
When he says, "I want my father back, you son of a bee," dang, dude.
Oh,
That's good.
that genuinely just gave me chills right now. I've got chills.
Yes. He said, "Anything you want, I'll give it to you," and he stabs him. I want
Offer
my
me
father
everything
back,
I
you
ask
son of a
for.
bitch. Freaking yeah, that's such a powerful
Give me
moment,
chills.
and
That's
in
crazy.
a ocean of just silly humor.
A lot of
It's
powerful
one of the
moments in this
most
movie.
greatest moments in cinematic history. All right. Snoke's look in The Last Jedi was based on what? ... Okay, so Qin Shi Huang, he's a Chinese emperor who's the first one of the Qin dynasty. Okay. Hugh Hefner or Darth Plagueis. Darth Plagueis was the master to Palpatine.
So the right answer, and I don't think this is what the thing is C, Darth Plagueis, because ultimately Disney doesn't create anything new. They just are recreating the same thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
So C,
the
but
look,
I don't think
The funny answer is Hugh Hefner.
right?
I don't know what
Did that come out of my brain, or is that real?
I don't know.
I'm going with A.
And you know what? I believe
An
that's
old
pronounced-
Chinese emperor?
I believe that's pronounced Qin Shi Huang.
Yeah. However, you're the master at the Asian here.
I think that Q is pronounced.
Wait a minute.
Qin.
Why is
Chin.
Qin Shi Huang.
What, Joshua?
Because I know
gonna
there
say,
was the
why it's the
Qin
master of
dynasty.
the Asian here?
Well, he just knows how to say Asian words better, Chinese
okay.
words better.
I'm gonna give.
I
him-
have no idea how things are pronounced over there.
What did you say? You said A, Josh?
Yeah, that's what I'm going with.
I'm gonna say Hugh Hefner for
For the
S
giggles.
and G's. Yeah.
All right. The answer is Hugh Hefner. It actually
That's
was
funny.
birthed out of the mind of Andy Serkis. So, like the outfit he was
I-
wearing, they were thinking
should
of.
have said Hugh Hefner because Joseph probably doesn't really know who Hugh Hefner
Yes,
was.
I do. Hugh Hefner was the guy who started Playboy, and he always wore the
you
robe.
know, but you wouldn't have randomly just picked off. Oh, let me pick Hugh Hefner because
You might be right about that. I
you
would
would
probably
have
have never
you would
thought
have you would
of
have picked
Hugh
somebody
Hefner.
else. I should have guessed Hugh Hefner only because of that. You would have said like if it
But
was
see,
you coming up
here,
with, you would have been like
That's the beauty
he's
of
the-
multiple choice. I'm shading it in mystery.
yeah, you would have said he's a look of John Wayne or something like that. Like a character that's
Probably.
old, but like you kind of know.
Well, that's what I did with the Chinese emperor. I just Googled famous Chinese emperors, found one that seemed like he wore a pop
Yeah.
collar with his outfit
Yeah.
kind of thing. But yeah, Andy Serkis and another person kind of designed the look, like the outfit of Snoke based on the Hugh Hefner look.
That's funny.
Right?
Interesting.
So like an old guy that just lounges around and commands
In his
empire.
robe. That's the thing
Yes,
about the robe. It just
exactly.
means you're ready to go.
You're ready to go.
You're ready
All
to
right.
throw that thing off.
I think we got two more here.
What are you
50
at, Wyatt? You're at
I'm at
4?
3.
3. I thought you
What are you at, Joshua?
I think I
I'm at
missed like 2.
I'm also at 3.
We're a tie?
Yeah,
All
if he
right.
missed 2, then yes, we're a tie right now.
All right, 2 more. 51st Dates is inspired by a real person, the writer's concussion experience, or a school play.
I'm pretty
Do you
sure.
guys both seen this movie, right?
It's been a long time since I've
You get
seen
the
this
premise
movie.
though, right? You know,
Mhm.
you remember the premise? A woman has to refigure out her life each day because every day she wakes up, she goes back to the day she had a brain traumatic experience of some sort. So she keeps playing the same day. And so everyone that comes into her life
play the day. She can't remember anything past
before
that
the day.
past that event.
Right, or after
So
that event.
She
So
only
every
remembers
day
before that.
she has to re-meet like the Adam Sandler character that comes in to be her boyfriend and husband
Yeah.
in the story, and they eventually have kids and everything. So, and every day she has to relearn all of this new relationship.
I'm like pretty sure I know the answer to this, so I'm gonna.
I have no idea. So I'm gonna answer I'm gonna answer A. Just a real person.
It is A. I'm like 90% sure that there was an actual person that did that. Yeah.
A real person.
Wow.
Michelle Philpotts.
Yep.
Is the if for anyone who wants to do some research and hear her story, Michelle Philpotts.
Wow.
Is the real person that this premise for the film is based on. Same premise. She keeps reliving the same day, or like every day she wakes up, she's on the same day.
Yeah.
I think it's 1994, if my memory serves, that she's replaying some one day in 1994. All right.
Interesting.
She's still alive. Last one. The Dark Knight Joker makeup style was based on only 2 options here: a child's drawing, an artist's paintings. Are you guys tied up right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I feel like you guys are.
This is a
The best thing would be each of you pick different ones.
Yeah, I think
So,
that's probably the goal here.
I already know if we're talking about Heath Ledger's Joker, Heath Ledger would not let the makeup artists do his makeup for this role because he said that they would make it too perfect, and he wanted to make it very blocky, messed up, and he didn't want it to be perfect.
But Chris Nolan was inspired for how the makeup should look, and then gave that look to Heath Ledger to do on himself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say A because I think that's it's A.
A child's drawing is good. That's a really solid answer. So I'll go with B, because I think there's also potential for an artist's painting.
All right. For All the Bones, an artist's painting.
Ah,
and here's some of his work. Francis Bacon. Chris Nolan ended up buying an entire book full of this guy's art because the makeup was inspired as that messy, kind of almost disfigured style.
Yeah.
That this artist would make.
It absolutely could have been a child's crayon.
Yeah. Actually, the reason I put that in there is because there was a fake theory going around the internet that it was inspired from a child's drawing. So it was a fake theory, pronounced incorrect.
But it was a theory.
It was a theory. Chris Nolan did an interview where he explained the inspiration, and it was this guy, this artist's work. So that means with a close run, Wyatt takes it with what's the final score between you two?
I have 5.
Joshua has 4.
Yep.
Good job, fellas. Did you learn anything?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Those stories at the beginning were interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Have you guys heard about all this Saltburn stuff going on?
I just know that it's a film I am going to avoid like the plague.
Yeah.
I have not.
I keep hearing little snippets about it, and I'm like, I don't want to know any more about this movie.
I feel like Amazon Prime recently released a video with the actors reading positive tweets. I feel like those tweets have to be plants, right? Because anybody with a decent head on their shoulders is not going to watch this film and be like, what an amazing, what an incredible story where this disgusting act that happens in the film represents this, coming of age kind of narrative.
Well, you don't realize that the comments on the internet are actually more like, I'm sending hate from India. That's like, unalive yourself and things like that. That's the internet. That's the real internet.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Maybe you'll have to explain that to me later. Maybe not this second. I don't want to, but
it's a lot of grossness.
Yeah,
it's pretty gross.
Pretty gross stuff. Which actually would be a great follow-up for the actor, to dive right into the role of the Joker in Matt Reeves' series after this film. You're demented in this film, so dive right into the Joker. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You guys remember that clip? You remember the details?
It's pretty gross.
That's Barry. It is kind of gross. that clip with the deleted scene or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I am very interested. I would be very interested to see that more of that Joker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.